Hello, everybody. How are you? I hope you're doing. I hope you're doing well. Sorry, I've just been eating my lunch, which was butter fried mashed potato, of course. So therefore, just clearing the throat after all that. And yeah, my hair is doing weird things. I usually sort that out during the beginning, just like I normally run an intro vid. So what I'm going to do is run the intro vid instead. Here we go. When I find it, intro. I'm not seeing it. Ah, there it is. Yay, he's a delicious rainbow. Goody he is. Here we go.
Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Jev. Yes, Triple V. The accent, by the way, is purely Kiwi. I read old stories for children, so we keep this a family-friendly channel by having bad word blockers, banning bots, and preventing spam. So that means new followers need to wait a few minutes before they can join in the chat. Since these stories are so old, they're now in the public domain, which means they are free to read for anyone and by anyone, the way many Christmas songs are. The digital versions I read are from Project Gutenberg, and you'll find the link for that below. The physical ones are just old books my family has lying around. Sometimes I'll even show them to you. These, by the way, are live reads. Think of them as bedtime stories rather than actual audiobooks. You get the benefits of my mistakes, distractions, explanations, and terrible attempts at accents, along with plenty of chat and interruptions as we find out about things in the story. If you need to do work or chores, then that's fine. Just come and lurk. Please adjust your volume to suit. There are captions available if you have to be quiet or you have hearing challenges, but be warned, sometimes the captions aren't always that accurate. I am a member of the Codex, an awesome group of reading streamers on Twitch. People from many walks of life who share their love of reading, and you'll find links to the Codex reading team and our Discord server below. A special feature of the Codex Discord is the security channel for those of you who stream or moderate. You'll find lots of practical, useful information to help keep your stream and your community safe. So, hang around and come discover adventure with me. You never know what we'll find.
And welcome back, everybody. So Goody is a delicious rainbow, and Stamatsu is saying, that Goriki is a Skittles. So Goriki says, lots of green ones, favourite colour obviously, a few red, 3 yellow, tops. And I said that Shu is a glowing unicorn. I think we actually need a unicorn headband that has actual glow to it. We haven't got one, but we need it, don't we? Of some sort. And Goriki says that Shu is a celestial idiot and then says, oof, yes, because that was a random from the generator. Bit of a laugh. Anyway, and congratulations, Goriki, on your 70 stream watch streak. Well done. I have been working on getting an extra command there available only for moderators and myself when it is appropriate to be used. And I'm guessing I'm going to get it in the neck when they have a look at it to see what it is, to say, no, you don't need that. Out of 20 part terms, yes, that's not an affirmation, it's confirmation, says Shu. I think we're all feeling a bit that way at the moment, actually. Excuse me. It was cold here. Goriki had said that Shu is a celestial idiot, and I said it just randomly happens, and Shu then said it's not an affirmation, it's a confirmation. And Goriki asks the 8-ball, is Shu confirmed? And the 8-ball says, don't ask that. Along with a musical emote. Right. So, Goriki, yes, please have a look at the commands. It's a new one. It's to do with parcels. If you think it shouldn't be there, that's okay. It's not available for everybody to use. It's just if the question gets asked in chat, whether you deem it's worth using that answer. or if it's something that I need to actually just have as a copy paste if someone contacts me directly. So the reason I'm setting that up, I think we should keep it to Discord messages for safety. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So nobody else can access it at the moment anyway. So I will just actually remove it, so it's not a worry. So, and I'm doing it right now because otherwise I might forget. I do like the way I phrased it though. So I'm going to copy that. And then I shall delete it. Yes, and you can. It's one of these things you can do. Delete command. There you go. So what happens is I don't have a PO box because they're expensive. I would like to have one, but I don't get parcels often enough to actually consider it being worth paying for the cost. If anybody wants to send me a parcel, they need to specifically request the information of me. It is not my personal address. You will not be finding me from that, okay? It is a Dropbox type of system, a real life one, where you can have something sent to you and it is held for your collection. We used to do it at the post office. We don't do that anymore because most of our postal counters are actually in other shops. And so the New Zealand Post has a contract with certain retail places, mainly supermarkets, some of them are not, but places that have longer opening hours so that people can collect. But there is one big caveat on using it. You have to use the address exactly as I have it written. No, it's more than one big caveat actually. Otherwise it will not get to me. And on top of that, you need to make sure that I know that something has been sent to me so that I can start checking if it has been sent or not. Because since it's not their purpose, that business's purpose being there to hold parcels for you, it's not a post office box. They are only required to hold it for a certain amount of time, and if it's not collected in that amount of time, it gets trashed. Waste of money and enthusiasm and emotions and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, if you think we could change the situation by having a post office box for Jev's channel, then yes, please feel free to contribute to the community goal of a post office box over on the throne wish list. There you go. That's one way around it. But yeah, if anyone does ever use it, they need to make sure that I know something is coming through to that address so I can check to see if it has arrived yet or not. The last time something came there, I had a wonderful box of ducks from past shelf date. And unfortunately, I got them, but there was a lot of head scratching involved and worry at this end because they couldn't find it. Turns out that because it only had the pre-printed label that was done by UPS, I think it was, which isn't commonly used in New Zealand, and that writing was really, 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 really small, the staff hadn't seen my username on it because it uses my username from here as the name of the person who's collecting. So if you are sending something to me, yes, your post office or your courier company or whatever is sending it may actually print out a slip, but also handwrite somewhere that's readable the name of who it's to. So for me, it would be Jev NZ, and always 3 V's. So that way, it is actually a lot more visible for normal human beings at the collection point for them to be able to sort it and put it in the right storage until it can be collected. So, yes, adventures. I don't know. Not that I'm expecting anyone to send me anything. It's just something that comes up very, very occasionally. That's all. So, yeah. Don't forget, you can get your own loadable shirt. And no, I have not done the extra designs yet. I am thinking I need to get a turquoise or aqua coloured one as well. So that will probably come with a different font on it. We'll see. Right, what are we doing today? We are going to be reading some more of Tom Swift and his underwater overwater vessel, also known as Tom Swift and his submarine boat. Yes, please, when you're ready to. Hot preferably. Thanks. I've got coffee boys asking me if I require coffee, and he's just determining which sort to provide. So, just unlock this. Yes, I had to plug it in because I didn't realise it was going flat. Right, where do we get up to? We had that guy who'd been hanging around their workshop down on the New Jersey coast, saying that he was trying to encourage competition for the submarine, for the government competitions. I don't think they do it that way these days. We're all very suspicious of him. Yes, we are. It's been written that way anyway. And I think now we find out a little bit more about him being suspicious, because the next chapter is chapter 5, Mr. Berger's Suspicious. So there you go. I'm guessing our suspicions are well founded, but I don't know for certain. Most likely, because this is a Stratemeyer Syndicate book. Yes. Don't forget, after I've finished this book, the next one is going to be a Bobbsey Twins one, which is aimed at a younger market, but just casual, comfortable, something you can listen to in the background while you're doing your end of day routine or whatever. So, if this story is not your cup of tea, then yes, a different style one will be coming. Just hold on, but not today. Chapter 5 of Tom Swift and his Submarine Boat. I was going to read you the subtitle, but it's actually not. Let's see if I turn that the other way, if it fits. No, there's a subtitle to this, but it doesn't fit on the, here it is. Or, Under the Ocean for Sunken Treasure, resume. I had to go to the chapter list to see what the subtitle was. I think we should keep it to Discord for messages for safety. So if you need my delivery address for parcels, ask me over in Discord. There. It's not a public space. It's not going to be visible to just anyone who drifts by. That's the best way to deal with it. Let's get on with it. No, before we read this, we have not had a tips video. Let's have a tips video. That's because we went and had the intro video at the beginning of the actual stream, not in the intro section vid. Who have we got today? I don't know. Let's find out.
Hello. My name is Raccoon Zed. In Zed. That's right. 3 C's and 3 O's. Ha. So, welcome to the stream. We have many tips for you to help enjoy the stream. Number 1. Have a drink. I like water. As soon as my human helps me out here. So, another part of that is when I hydrate, when I take a drink, you do too. You can indicate that you've done so by giving a thumbs up or use the water bottle emoji down in chat. Number 3. Sure, why not? Food or snacks? I don't have any right now, but you eat whatever you'd like to eat. Maybe it's a whole meal, maybe it's a snack. I don't know. You do you. Number 4. Get comfy. You can wrap up in something. Thanks, human. That's more like it. Grab a pillow, maybe you've got a fidget toy you can play with. But do anything you like to be comfy. You could even have, I don't know, maybe your favorite human will give you scritches. Hey, human. That's right. Give me scritches. Yeah, that's right. Right there. Yeah. No, don't touch the floof! Next, we have number 5. Something to write with or write on. Hey, I can't reach the pad. There you go. And I need something to write on. I just said something to write. Oh wait, that's something to write on. I need something to write with. Okay. Okay, so I don't have opposable thumbs, but you do. Write memos down. You might need to remember something. Maybe not right now, but maybe after the stream. Number 6. Get involved. Join in chat. Chat in chat. Use commands. Play bingo because, that lady says some pretty crazy things from time to time. Make clips. You can even have them featured. Maybe we can see your clips someday. Spin the pages, which are like right down there somewhere. They look like a book or something. The thing down there with a number under chat. And just do whatever you can to enjoy chat. Thanks for watching.
And I'm back. I also need to turn the captions back on because we had them turned off when I had the video running because they are in front of where the video is. So there you go. Yeah, we have ads now. Soon, in a minute. So I'm going to keep talking anyway, regardless of the ads, because it says when it's going to start down to the second, but it usually doesn't. It usually takes another 30 seconds or a minute after that. So I'm just going to ignore it and keep talking. You should see his little top hat and spats, though. Very dapper. Raccoon's little top hat and spats, yes. Does he have a cane? Uncle Scrooge has spats. Anyone who needs to know what spats are, Uncle Scrooge, I don't know if he still does, but he used to have spats. Yeah. Not spits, spats. And not the argument type of spat either. Although Uncle Scrooge has those too. Right, Mr. Berg is suspicious. Tom Swift and his underwater overwater vessel. So, not for long did the young inventor endeavour to break his way out of the water ballast tank by striking the heavy sides of it. Tom realised that this was worse than useless. Ah, that's right, we had a cliffhanger ending. He was stuck inside the ballast tank and he couldn't get out. Because unlike modern refrigerators and freezers, even commercial ones, big walk-in commercial ones, not even, actually those, they have to have a handle on the inside for letting yourself out. Although the big freezers also have a lock on them, a lock hole for a padlock, so that if you are storing stuff in there that you don't want stolen, it can't be stolen. So yeah, still not such a good idea. Right. So he's stuck inside this ballast tank, and apparently nobody can hear him, and yet he could hear the guy who was outside who was teasing him about having locked him in. Velcro! Raccoons, Velcro. You can wear shoes if you use Velcro ones or slippers, slip-on shoes. Right. So let's get him out of this sticky situation. This is Tom Swift, not Raccoons. He can sort himself out. Not for long did the young inventor endeavour to break his way out of the water ballast tank by striking the heavy sides of it. Tom realised that this was worse than useless. Actually, no, technically it shouldn't be. If you are hitting a large metal object, even if you're on the inside, they should still be able to hear that. It's your voice that it said that they could not hear. Is this another brick wall story? Like the very first Tom Swift one? Is this one where I'm going to get concussion from banging my head against a brick wall? I don't know. No opposable thumb to grab the Velcro, and he only pays in trail mix, so I'm not doing it for him. Well done. Yes, good choice to not do it, although he could use his teeth. He listened intently but could hear nothing. no opposable thumbs means no hitchhiking. True. He can't run. He can't escape quickly. Hi, Jonathan. Great to have you here too, by the way. Not for long did the... I'll just read the sentence right from the start. Not for long did the young inventor endeavour to break his way out of the water ballast tank by striking the heavy sides of it. Tom realised that this was worse than useless. He listened intently but could hear nothing. Even the retreating footsteps of Andy Foger were inaudible. Can you see why I'm having trouble with the physics in this story so far? Also means you can't use a bow and arrow. Thank goodness he can't use a bow and arrow. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we were told when Tom was locked in this water ballast tank that he knew from previous experience that calling out would not work because nobody would be able to hear him because of the sound insulation. And now he, inside the sound insulated space, can hear someone's footsteps, not just someone shouting at him to taunt him, which we've also heard Foger do that, but now he can hear his footsteps walking away. But at the same time, we can't bang on the sides of this metal drum space that he's in so that someone can hear us, because they won't hear that. I'm sorry. There you go. I really hope that this story picks up a bit soon. Yes, hugs definitely appreciated and needed. That's weird, very weird. Plot walls, sound only goes one way. We refuse to suspend our disbelief. Yes. If it's something where you're already well in the flow of a story and they demand suspension of disbelief, it usually works. But when it's the start of a chapter, no, not at all. Let's carry on. I hear you've been doing some jam making. I saw something about that somewhere. You had a thing on Instagram, didn't you, Jonathan? You were making Fijo a jam. That looked like it was going to be really good. Pretty sure it was on Instagram. I think that's where I see your pictures. Excellent. Did it taste good? Did you get to taste it? Or is it one of those jams that you have to make it and let it sit for a while so it develops its flavour? Because some of them do that. Some of them are better after they've sat for a while. Chutneys more so than jams. Fijoa sounds like a foreign curse word. It does. I don't know what the name specifically comes from, what the etymology of the name is, but I think it's originally a South American fruit related to various guavas, because it's got the same shape and the same flower shape as those do. And Jonathan will let you know, I'm sure, with his horticulture biology background, that part of the classification system for plants is based on the form of the flower. Tastes amazing. I had some this morning for the first time. Wonderful. Myrtle family. Yeah, I heard that they were related to myrtles. I'm trying to think of if I've ever actually seen myrtle in real life, the flowering myrtle. I think I have, but probably at a display garden somewhere or something like that. Yeah, but as a fruit, they're unusual. Have you, anyone who's not in New Zealand, ever had guavas before? Not tinned ones, fresh guavas. They come in. The ones that are common in New Zealand are red, which tend to be slightly grittier, but have a richer, much more exciting flavour, or yellow, which have a smoother skin, and they fruit prolifically too. Both of them do. There is another one which is a bigger one, which has a pink flesh, which is also yellow skinned, which is the sort which is ideal for doing as tinned fruit or preserved fruit, because those ones, the flavours when you have them raw is pretty bland, but if you have them cooked and preserved, you know, like make up a syrup and you cook them in the syrup and then you put them into preserving jars and stuff like that, which is basically the same as the tinned fruit version. Those are really, really yummy. They used to be a common dessert on boats when I was growing up. We'd take tinned food away because we didn't have a refrigerator. So, yeah, If you haven't had guavas, then look them up. It won't tell you what they taste like, I'm sure. Feijoas are definitely related to those. Instead of them being a round fruit with a flower bump on the end, they are more oval shaped, and they come in different sizes depending on the variety. And New Zealand has developed a lot of varieties. There are ones where the average fruit is about this long, about 1.5 to 2 inches long, and probably about 3/4 of an inch across. And yes, I'm talking an imperial. And they have a similar pattern inside if you cut them across to what a guava does in terms of the layout of the different parts of the fruit inside. And you cut them open, scoop them out with a teaspoon and eat them, both sorts. You can actually eat them straight, skin and all. Or you can bite the top off and squeeze the inside out and eat them that way. Because we're Kiwis and that's what we do. Feijoas are more tart, more tangy, more zingy in flavour. And they also have a lovely fragrance to them. And near-ish, between me and the city, is a place that started up a feijoa orchard, an organic feijoa orchard, and they make feijoa bubbly. They make a sparkling feijoa wine, which, if you like feijoas, is really nice. If you're not so keen on them, it's great done like you would a shandy, where it's half lemonade and half feijoa bubbly. It's really yummy. The brand name is Lothlorien, and in this part of New Zealand, you can get it at most places that sell wines and spirits. But it's really, really yummy. As a family, we used to use it as a celebration drink. It is an alcoholic drink. They do, I think, do a non-alcoholic one, but it's probably not quite as nice. If anyone's in this part of New Zealand where I am, and pretty sure also down in where Jonathan is, and further south than me, feijoas in their season are very abundant. In fact, anyone who has a feijoa tree in their backyard or as a hedge is going to be wanting to get rid of them because there's so many of them. Anyway, size-wise, the standard ones are about this big. You get a variety called Mammoth, which are huge. They are a lot bigger. They're fatter. They're very nice, but they don't have as much flavour as the smaller ones. There's a smaller one again that's just over an inch long, and it tends to be more pointed at each end instead of being more oval shaped. Somehow it just has a slightly more point, and those ones have a thinner skin and they have the richest flavour. As kids, we would discover this every year, and we'd still go for the Mammoth ones because as a kid you want the big one rather than the one that's got all the flavour. As an adult, you'd keep an eye out for the ones that are the thin-skinned small ones because they're just so much more flavour. They're not quite as commonly grown now as they used to be. There was something else I was going to say about them. Feijoa. Feijoa. Yes, exactly as Goriki has written it. Very seasonal. They give them... Oh, you don't pick them off the tree. You gather the ones that have fallen off. If you need to, you shake it. It's a large shrub type tree. It's not a huge tree. Although the ones we used to have down by the beach when I was growing up were a lot bigger than most people's were because they've been growing for so long. And used to crawl in underneath them and get them. Used to grow like a big dense hedge, but inside it there was a lot more room. It was still twiggy, but you could crawl around underneath and get the fruit. So yeah, it's feijoa season at the moment, depending on which part of New Zealand you're in as to when it started. Right, let's get on with this story. We've got the implausibility of the sound dynamics going on here. But we're just going to accept that this is the way the story is working because that's the way they've written it. Even the retreating footsteps of Andy Foger were inaudible. Right. Oh, good. So it was inaudible. I hadn't read it correctly before. I'd said he should be able to call if he can hear the footsteps. So I don't know how Andy Foger managed to call out to him and he responded, if it's so sound insulated, basically. "This certainly is a pickle," exclaimed Tom aloud. "I can't understand how he ever got here. He must have traced us after we went to Shopton in the airship last time. Then he sneaked in here. Probably he saw me enter, but how could he know enough to work the worm gear and close the door? Maybe he's working with Mr. Berg." Andy has had some experience with machinery, though, and one of the vaults in the bank where his father is a director closed just like this tank. So why are you surprised that he figured out how to shut it? That is very likely how he learned about it, but I've got to do something else besides thinking of that sneak, Andy. I've got to get out of here. Let's see if I can work the gear from inside. Thought you said it was a sealed compartment with nothing inside. Before he started almost, Tom knew that it would be impossible. The tank was made to close from the interior of the submarine, not the interior of the space. And the heavy door, built to withstand the pressure of tons of water, could not be forced except by proper means. "No use trying that," concluded the lad after a tiring attempt to force back the sliding door with his hands. "I've got to call for help. Even though the previous chapter said nobody could hear when there is sound made inside this chamber." I'm having a hard time with suspension of disbelief today. We need a little picture of a cord coming down with a pallet being held with a pallet or a net, a cargo net, and inside it having the word disbelief, and have the suspension of disbelief having issues. Anyway, he shouted until the vibrations in the confined space made his ears ring, and the mere exertion of raising his voice to the highest pitch made his heart beat quickly. Yet there came no response. He hardly expected that there would be any, for with his father and Mr. Sharp away, the engineer absent on an errand, and Mrs. Baggert in the house some distance off, there was no one to hear his calls for help, even if they had been capable of penetrating further than the extent of the shed where the underwater craft had been constructed. The wall will be quite busy tonight. Yes, I feel it will. I've got to wait until some of them come out here, thought Tom. They'll be sure to release me and make a search. Search for Andy? Or does he mean make a search for him and then release him? This one feels like it hasn't had a second or a third pass through the edits for continuity. Then it will be easy enough to call to them and tell them where I am. I'm sorry. I'm just going to bookmark this. My brain needs to know that we did have that phrase about not being able to hear anything in the space. Because what happens is this is lodged in my head and I cannot get it out of there. Here you go. He was a prisoner in the water compartment, and he knew from past experience that, shout as he would, his voice could not be heard 10 feet away. Okay? You all heard it last time I was reading. Okay? I am going to highlight that because I feel like I'm going to reference it again and again and again. Right, let's go back to where we were and see if we can get further than the first page of this chapter. Author kept going, "I'll revise later," and then bam, deadline. Exactly. It definitely feels like that sort of thing, that sort of overlook. Oh, we're on the third page of this chapter. They'll be sure to release me and make a search. Then it will be easy enough to call to them and tell them where I am once they are inside the shed, as long as they're less than 10 feet away. But, he paused, for a horrible fear came over him. Suppose they should come too late. The tank was airtight. There was enough air in it to last for some time, although not as much as there was before, because he's been shouting. Hi, Jiltair, great to have you here. Hello to you too. Lovely to see you again. Welcome. Pull up a chair, something comfortable to sit on, and just relax. We're getting frustrated with the story because physics is not physicsing. Yeah, you'll hear it. I don't need to explain it. You'll get it, unless somebody else fills you in. Suppose they should come too late. Oh, my bed will suffice. Good, good. That should be nice and comfortable. Suppose they should come too late. The tank was airtight. There was enough air in it to last for some time, but sooner or later it would no longer support life. Already Tom thought it seemed oppressive, though probably that was his imagination. I must get out, he repeated frantically. I'll die in here soon. Again he tried to shove back the steel door. Then he repeated his cries until he was weary. No one answered him, so he's wasting oxygen. And being a young lad of science, he should know this. He fancied once he could hear footsteps in the shed and thought perhaps it was Andy come back to gloat over him. Then Tom knew the red-haired coward would not dare venture back. He thought about it then. And we must do Andy the justice to say that he never realised he was endangering Tom's life. Thank you, author. That's good to know. You should have told us that a while ago, but yes, thank you. The bully had no idea the tank was airtight when he closed it. He had seen Tom enter, and a sudden whim came to him to revenge himself. But that did not help the young inventor any. There was no doubt about it now. The air was becoming close. Tom had been imprisoned nearly 2 hours. We'd had no indication of this before. And as he was a healthy, strong lad, he required plenty of oxygen. Well, just lie on the floor in the tank and relax and stop thinking stressful things, and you'll need less oxygen because you won't be breathing as deeply. There was certainly less than there had been in the tank. His head began to buzz and there was a ringing in his ears. Yes, and pee where? Exactly. Well, he's a young lad. Maybe he doesn't need to pee very often, once or twice a day. Hopefully he's already been just before he came in. Once more he fell upon his knees and his fingers sought the small projections of the gear on the inside of the door. He could no more budge the mechanism than a child could open a burglar-proof vault. It's no use, he moaned, and he sprawled at full length on the floor of the tank, for there the air was purer. And as he did so, his fingers touched something. As he started as they closed around the handle of a big monkey wrench. Jultea says 8-ball, pee here, and the 8-ball says, that's a tough one, and then it gives us the emote, yeah, or yay, as in yay and nay. He started as they closed around the handle of a big monkey wrench. It was one he had brought into the place with him. Imbued with new hope, he struck a match and lighted his lantern, which he had allowed to go out as it had burnt too much of the oxygen. By the gleam of it, he looked to see if there were any bolts or nuts he could loosen with the wrench. Yay. I would have done a little bit of banging pretty hard with the wrench on the side of the tank, because that should be loud. But, yeah, nasty on your ears. By the gleam of his torch, his lantern, he looked to see if there were any bolts or nuts he could loosen with the wrench in order to slide the door back. It needed but a glance to show him the futility of this. It's no go, he murmured, and he let the wrench fall to the floor. There was a ringing, clanging sound, and as it smote his ears, Tom sprang up with an exclamation. Has he put out the lantern yet? It's burning his oxygen. This is like watching the cartoons, Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner, and there's some dynamite on the tracks, and the fuse has been lit and it's getting close. The frustration. Let's carry on. Right. That's the thing, he cried. I wonder I didn't think of it before. I can signal for him. He didn't think of it before because he's only just found he has the wrench. That's why. You seem very calm. I love it. Yes, if you want a genuine reaction to the story, this is the place. If you want calm, quiet, measured, audiobook style reading, please depart and find somebody who does that, because I ain't it. I wonder I didn't think of it before. We've already reacted to that. I can signal for help by pounding on the sides of the tank with the wrench. They're going to have to repair it afterwards from the dents, but that's okay. The blows will carry a good deal further than my voice would. True. Everyone knows how far the noise of a boiler shop with hammers falling on steel plates can be heard. Much further than can a human voice. Good point, but not everybody knows that now because we don't have them anymore. Tom began a lusty tattoo on the metal sides of the tank. No, that does not mean he gave himself a tattoo of a busty girl. Yes, language in the old days. At first, he didn't have an ink and needle set in there with him. At first, he merely rattled out blow after blow, and then as another thought came to him, now remember, he was already feeling a little bit off because the oxygen was low. And it told us that in that short space of description, 2 hours had passed. So yes, let's suspend our disbelief a little bit more, everybody. It's getting harder and harder to do. Another thought came to him. He adopted a certain plan. Sometime previous, when he and Mr. Sharp had planned their trip in the air, the two had adopted a code of signals. As it was difficult in a high wind to shout from one end of the airship to the other, the young inventor would sometimes pound on the pipe which ran from the pilot house of the Red Cloud to the engine room. By a combination of numbers, simple messages could be conveyed. The code included a call for help. 47 was the number. Why is he not doing SOS? Even if it's just the spaces in between for the different lengths. It would be at least recognizable. Oh, the code 47 was the number, but there had never been any occasion to use it. Tom remembered this now. Once he ceased his indiscriminate hammering, somebody would have thought he was just working on something, and began to beat out regularly 1, 2, 3, 4, then a pause, and then 7 blows would be given. And then a bigger pause, one would guess. The frustration. Goody, he has clipped it. Well done, thank you so much. It needed to be done. And over and over again he rang out this number, 47, the call for help. If Mr. Sharp only comes back, he will hear that, even in the house, thought Tom. Maybe Garrett or Mrs. Baggett will hear it too, but they won't know what it means. They'll think I'm just working on the submarine. It seemed several hours to Tom that he had pounded out that cry for aid. But as he afterward learned, it was only a little over an hour. Now he was already woozy, which is when you're getting right to the end of how much oxygen's available, and he carries on and he's doing a physical job banging. Yeah. Just like, anyone else want to turn with the wall? Ah, dear. Signal after signal he sent vibrating from the steel sides of the tank. He's not going to be able to hear properly when he gets out of this. When one arm tired, he would use the other. He grew weary, his head was aching, and there was a ringing in his ears, a ringing that seemed as if 10,000 bells were jangling out their peals, and he could barely distinguish his own pounding. Signal after signal he sounded. He's going to have specific hearing loss from this. You know this, don't you? If you get noise over a certain volume for long enough, it causes damage to the little hearing hairs in your ear, in your inner ear. And the longer it goes on for, the more damage there is. The louder it is, the more damage it is. But if it's a really short amount of time it happens, that we'll hear. But if it's longer than that, and you get a ringing sound in your ears for too long afterwards, that's an indicator of permanent damage. And because this is all at one pitch, the sound of the space that he's in will produce one particular note of the sound of this metal being hit. That particular frequency that is at is the one that's going to be damaged. I'm just telling you the science, modern science to do with hearing loss, because I know a lot of people, like carpenters, who were doing hammering, and it's right beside their dominant hand ear, And so when you're hitting a nail with a hammer repeatedly and you're doing lots of that, it's usually the same pitch that sound is, that impact sound. And it's very, very common for builders to lose hearing at that specific pitch in their ears. Time for the designator of dither from Starmancer Shoe. What are we going to have today? Let's find out. And we have hearts. There you go. I think the last time we had one of these ones, it was butterflies, wasn't it? There we go. We have hearts. And I need to take the cushion away because otherwise you can't see it at all. Except that I've got something fluffy on the top of my head. I have to sit really low. And then we have an egg timer. Let's just find the egg timer. Egg timer. Turn it on. Yes. And we shall also find the turning on button for the actual egg timer so it runs for 6 minutes. Here we go. Lovely-dovey. Yeah, it's lovely. Fitting because his heart is going to stop soon if he doesn't blow out that lamp. Absolutely. Thank you, Joltaire. Thank you for recognising that. It really is quite stressful. You came here hoping for a nice, quiet, relaxed story. Nah, not happening. Stress to the max. At least it's not in our own real world. Right. He could barely distinguish his own pounding. Signal after signal he sounded. It was becoming like a dream to him when suddenly, as he paused for a rest, he heard his name called faintly as if far away. Tom, Tom, where are you? It was the voice of Mr. Sharp, then followed the tones of the aged inventor. My poor boy, Tom, are you still alive? No, it's my ghost banging in here. Ah, are you still alive? Oh, who says I came here to relax? Raging is the game. And to think that I used to never rage on stream. Oh my goodness. I think what broke that was Swiss Family Robinson. The only book I have ever rage quit. My claim to fame. Right, let's carry on. My poor boy, Tom, are you still alive? Yes, Dad, in the starboard tank, the lad gasped out, and then he lost his senses. When you've got so little oxygen that you go unconscious, you don't say that many words in a sentence. It just takes a little bit of pausing to think while you are imagining it and then writing the words down to actually know these things. You know it inside you. You don't need to write down utter nonsense. Incoming brain damage, absolutely. Lack of oxygen that makes you go unconscious, yeah. Hearing damage, brain damage. He gasped out and then he lost his senses. When he revived, he was lying on a pile of bagging in the submarine shop, and his father and the aeronaut were bending over him. Are you all right, Tom? Asked Mr. Swift. Yes, I guess so, was the hesitating answer. Yes, the lad added as the fresh air cleared his head. I'll be all right pretty soon. Have you seen Andy Foger? Did he shut you in here? Demanded Mr. Swift. Tom nodded. When he revived, so his heart did set out? Oh my goodness, we don't want to bring health and safety department down on this story. No, it would not survive. Did he shut you in there? Tom nodded. I'll have him arrested, declared Mr. Swift. I'll go to town as soon as you're in good shape again and notify the police. No, don't, pleaded Tom. I'll take care of Andy myself. I don't really believe he knew how serious it was. I'll settle with him later, though. He just needs to know how dangerous it was. He doesn't actually need anyone to beat him up. Seriously. Well, it came mighty near being serious, remarked Mr. Sharp grimly. Your father and I came back a little sooner than we expected, and as soon as I got near the house, I heard your signal. I knew what it was in a moment. There were Mrs. Baggert and Garrett talking away, and when I asked them why they didn't answer your call, they said they thought you were merely tinkering with the machinery. It's a very heavy-handed tinkering, if you ask me. But I knew better. Garrett should have known, because he works there for them in the workshops. But I knew better. It's the first time we've ever had to use a 47, Tom, and I hope it will be the last, replied the young inventor with a faint smile. But I'd like to know what Andy Foger is doing in this neighbourhood. He's probably been sent there by Mr. Berg, because all the bad guys in it seem to know each other. Tom was soon himself again and was able to go to the house, where he found Mrs. Baggert brewing a big basin of catnip tea, under the impression that it would in some way be good for him. Now, we have had catnip tea mentioned before, and I don't remember if I explained anything about it. Yes, we these days think of catnip tea, catnip being purely for cats. It's actually just a herbal plant. It happens to be one that a lot of cats really like, not all cats. Our one just ignores it. But it's also got some aromatics in it, which are very good for certain health conditions. And I don't remember what they are, but it's meant to be very good for promoting health for certain when you have certain issues. Yeah, whatever. You can look it up. This is not a medical discussion. This is just connection in the story. A big basin of catnip tea, under the impression that it would in some way be good for him. She could not forgive herself for not having answered his signal, and as for Mr. Jackson, he had started for a doctor as soon as he learned that Tom was shut up in the tank. That's Garrett Jackson. The services of the medical man were cancelled by telephone as there was no need for him, and the engineer came back to the house. No, you don't do that. You do things like hearing checks. You do vision checks in case there was an issue with brain damage, because it can affect that sort of thing. No, you don't just cancel them because it doesn't appear that there's anything wrong. Very cavalier about health and safety in this book series. And Jiltair has redeemed the designator of ears, and what are we going to have? What is the designator of ears going to pick for us this time? Fluff heart. I was just looking at it. All the fluffy heart things. There you go. We haven't had this for so long. Let's start the egg timer. There it is. And thank you for redeeming that, Jiltair. That is really appreciated. Yeah, we definitely got a theme going. I think that's probably the end of the theme, though, because we don't have any other white ones. Just looking behind me. They're kind of certain colours in the set at the moment. Right, so here we go. White, fluffy, and hearts. So that's what we've got going at the moment. So yeah, I don't really agree with them about cancelling the doctor, but that's what's happened. Tom was fully himself the next day, and aided his father and Mr. Sharp in putting the finishing touches to the Advance. That's the submarine. It was found that some alteration was required in the auxiliary propellers, and this, much to the regret of the young inventor, would necessitate postponing the trial for a few days. "But we'll have her in the water next Friday," promised Mr. Swift. "Aren't you superstitious about Friday?" asked the balloonist. "Not a bit of it," replied the aged inventor. Oh, I forgot that we've got these words. We've got lad, craft, and we've got a shame bottle, so we're doing it for aged inventor. Because ageism, I don't think he's really as old as what they want us to believe he is. Nor is doddery. Sometimes he is and sometimes he isn't. Right. Tom, he added, "I wish you would go into the house and get me the roll of blueprints you'll find on my desk." As the lad neared the cottage, he saw standing in front of the place a small automobile. Ooh. Thank you, Julter. Well done. Yes, you know the drill. Goriki, this says this book is going to end up hurting an organ or two. Yeah, definitely. A small automobile. A man had just descended from it. How tall is this small vehicle? This text is very medically questionable, very indeed. And it needed but a glance to show that he was Mr. Addison Berg. Ah, good morning, Mr. Swift, greeted Mr. Berg. Goriki redeemed the Gleaner of Fortune. So what are we going to have after Fluff Heart? Let's find out. Totally not Goriki. Perfect. That is this one. Couldn't have done better if you'd tried to rig it. I'll just see if I can get the string tied around it. Yeah, you got timed out just because it was all emotes. More than just one emote, Julter, but Goriki has undone the timeout. Don't worry about it. Oh my goodness. 100% emotes is bad, yeah. If it's a single emote on its own, it's usually okay, although sometimes I will still do 3 or 4, but because I'm the streamer, or sometimes a moderator will do it, or a VIP, it means that they don't get the same timeout controls, which seems a bit unfair, but hey, whatever. It's just the way systems work. I'm just getting this last bit of string tied up because I don't want to just cut it off, all of it, because if you cut it off too close, it then comes undone again, doesn't it? There you go. That's not waving around like it was before. It's still there, but whatever. I've got that one ready to put on once the timer finishes for this one. Where do we get to? Addison Berg. Ah, good morning, Mr. Swift, greeted Mr. Berg. I wish to see your father, but as I don't wish to lay myself open to suspicions by entering the shop, perhaps you will ask him to step here. Certainly, answered the lad, wondering why the agent had returned. Getting the blueprints and asking Mr. Berg to sit down on the porch, Tom delivered the message. You come back with me, Tom, said his father. I want you to witness what he says. I'm not going to get into trouble with these people. And Goriki is a glorious cosmonaut, according to Julter. There you go. Mr. Berg came to the point at once. Mr. Swift, he said, I wish you would reconsider your determination not to enter the government trials. I'd like to see you compete. So would my firm. So they can steal it, so they can break it, so they can go off and get treasure and you're stuck at the competition? I don't know. There is no use going over that again, replied the aged inventor. I have another object in view now than trying for the government prize. He should just say no. Don't elaborate. Tip for anyone. You get a spammer on the phone, don't elaborate why you're saying no. Just say no. You give them anything, they will argue with it. The same happens in other argument situations. Don't elaborate. You will not persuade somebody who's already decided that they're not going to believe you or agree with you or accept what you're saying. Totally not Goriki, by the way. So don't waste time on it. They've already made up their mind. And don't give them additional information that they can use either against you or for their own benefit. I have another object in view now than trying for the government prize, said Mr. Swift. What it is, I can't say, but it may develop in time. Even that's hinting too much. If we are successful. And he looked at his son, smiling the while. Mr. Berg tried to argue, but it was of no avail. And then he changed his manner and said, "Well, since you won't, I suppose I'll go back and report to my firm. Have you anything special to do this morning?" he went on to Tom. "Well, I can always find something to keep me busy," replied the lad, "but as for anything special—" "I thought perhaps you'd like to go for a trip in my auto," interrupted Mr. Berg. "Come here, kiddie, I've got a lollipop for you." This story is... Why are we getting so many weird stories? I had asked a young man who was stopping at the same hotel where I am to accompany me, but he has unexpectedly left, and I don't like to go alone. His name was, let me see, I have a wretched memory for names, but it was something like Roger or Modger. Fodger. Oh, I've always said Foger. I'm still saying Foger, cried Tom. Was it Andy Foger? Yes, that was it. Why, do you know him? Asked Mr. Berg in some surprise. The best head badge. So utilitarian too. This is very disturbing, this story, yes. 8-Ball was the author on more than one bottle of whiskey. Goriki, the 8-Ball says the answer to that isn't pretty. Goriki says, right. Yeah. And I don't think whiskey was all of it either. But we won't discuss the rest of it here because this is a family-friendly channel. Foger, was it Andy Foger? Cried Tom. Yes, that was it. Why, do you know him? Asked Mr. Berg in some surprise. I should say so, replied Tom. He was the cause of what might have resulted in something serious for me. And the lad explained about being imprisoned in the... Too much information! You don't tell me, cried Mr. Berg. I had no idea he was that kind of a lad. You see, his father is one of the directors of the firm by whom I am employed. Oh dear. Dear, oh dear. It's getting more and more sus. Subtitles dancing around every spelling of the name, yet not being vulgar. Yet. Andy came from home to spend a few weeks at the seaside and stopped at the same hotel that I did. He went off yesterday afternoon and I haven't seen him since, though he promised to go for a ride with me. Why does this weird man want to go for a ride with teenage boys? Don't answer that. I don't want to get banned. It's in your head, okay? Keep it in your head. But very inappropriate. Not your head. Story point. He must have come over here and entered your shop unobserved. I remember now he asked me where the submarine was being built that was going to compete with our firms, and I told him I didn't think he was that kind of a lad. Obviously not, because he didn't want to go for a ride in the car with you, mate. Well, since he's probably gone back home, perhaps you'll come for a ride with me, Tom. And don't trust anybody who uses your name to your face at the end of a sentence when they're talking with you. That is just sus. Super sus. It's carpooling. 8-Ball, is the answer family friendly? The 8-Ball says forget about it. Yeah, at the moment it is. Not family friendly. 8-Ball, it's carpooling? The 8-Ball says the heavens point to yes. I think the 8-Ball is in on this scheme too. I'm afraid I can't go, thank you, answered the lad. We are very busy getting our submarine in shape for a trial. But I can imagine why Andy left so hurriedly. He probably learned that a doctor had been summoned for me, though as it happened I didn't need one. But Andy probably got frightened at what he'd done and left. I'll make him more sorry when I meet him. Yeah, answer to everything, beat someone up, because we've already done that before. 8-Ball, have you had a bit of the spirits, eh? The 8-Ball says you must work toward the results you are after. Goriki, I think 8-Ball is telling you to mind your own business and have your own drinks. Thank you very much. This is one of the least family-friendly streams we've had, I think. Oh my goodness. Not that families can't drink, but just weird, so weird. I think the 8-ball ran ahead and prepared for it. Yeah, I think so. I hope you guys are drinking something more than water for our keywords today, just because I feel like we all need it. I've got coffee, by the way, that coffee boy got for me. I'll make him more sorry when I meet him, said Tom. Oh, let's just turn that off and carry on without the egg timer or the totally not godiki headband. April just wants to appreciate the keywords to its fullest. Oh, goodness me. Don't blame you a bit, commented Mr. Berg. Well, I must be getting back. Don't blame you a bit about wanting to beat him up afterwards. He hastened out to his auto while Tom and his father watched the agent. Tom, never trust that man, advised the aged inventor solemnly. There are some words you can use repeatedly in paragraph after paragraph and people don't mind because they become invisible. Said is one of those words. If you are doing creative writing and you're still at school level, they will tell you don't use the word said all the time in conversations. Use some other descriptive word. And so you get a whole lot of exclaimed and queried and puzzled and whispered and emphasized and all sorts of stupid stuff like this, and it draws attention to the action instead of just telling you that someone said something. So said is actually one of those invisible words. You can use it lots and people won't notice it. Other words that kind of work a little bit like that in the context of Stratemeyer Syndicate words are the main characters' relations. So we keep getting the aged inventor instead of saying father. We wouldn't notice if it said father in more than one sentence within a paragraph or two paragraphs. We would just know who he's talking to or who is talking. But when they say aged inventor, every time it pulls you out of the story and you think about the age of the guy and if he's a bit doddery. It puts the focus in the wrong place. It's like when someone stepped across the room. No, they didn't. They walked across the room. Or they crossed the room. If you say they stepped across the room, you draw attention to what their feet are doing. And your mind goes, if it's a woman, is she stepping like a deer, like a young fawn? Or is she shuffling? Or whatever. Because you are drawing attention to the action and the part of the body or the actual object that is involved with the action instead of the overall progress, the movement. So if you are writing, please underdo the big word versions of the simple words because the simple words don't get seen. We don't hear them, we don't see them, we just take in their implication of the movement or the action that's being done. Okay? Tip from someone who is a big reader, someone who's read lots and lots of books. I know whereof I speak. Writing tips with Jev. Yeah. Let's go back. I need to get some of these words. April just wants to appreciate the keywords to its fullest. Yes, we've got that one. Aged inventor implies that there is a non-aged one as well. And so Goriki says Tom is the young inventor. And sometimes, like last time, the caged inventor. Caged inventor. Yes. Every time I hear it, I picture Mr. Swift at 80 and not 38 or whatever. Yeah. It really does make him sound like he's on his last legs. That he's elderly and about to be put into a care home and have somebody wipe his chin for him and hold the food out on a fork. Really? Why is he creating these things that are dangerous, like hot air balloons and submarines if he's that doddery. Definitely. Jules here, if they stepped, I always like to imagine the river danced. They river danced, yeah. That sort of the thing where you are the attention is drawn to what the feet are doing, like river dance, or any of the others. It's just it's what your mind does naturally when you hear certain words or certain usages of words. And so often we have been taught when we're younger, especially at school, in creative writing endeavours, when you have to write a story, or when you're older, they tell you to write an essay. But when they first told us to write essays, we're like, "What are you talking about?" And somebody went, "Oh, they mean write a story," because we went from one age bracket where there was when you were doing writing, it was writing a story, and then the next level up with no explanation was write an essay on this. They didn't say what an essay meant. What is this word? What is the word fiduciary? Because I don't use it here in New Zealand. It's like, I know it's in a song that I'm pretty sure Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote, but that's got nothing to do with daily life and what I do. Anyway, so words, words can distract you or words can aid you. So use words that aid you with telling your story. And often that means using simple words. And it's one of the things I don't like when you read articles about reading fiction is good because it helps people to understand other people. I like that part of it, but where they then idolize literary fiction. Literary fiction usually has over a certain grade level reading standard, which means it uses lots of big words that you have to stop and think about the words instead of what you're reading. No, literary fiction doesn't make you understand other people better. It just tries to tell you that whoever wrote this thinks they're smarter than you. Most literary fiction does that. It doesn't actually get you involved with the lives of the people you are reading about, because that is what changes people's ability to understand that others might have different motivations. Not your writing snobbery, okay? More writing tips with you. Right, let's get on with this story. It's getting really ragey around here, and a little bit too much. Oh my goodness. Oh, where do we get to? Tom, never trust that man, advised the aged inventor solemnly. And I drank to that one, so I'm not drinking that one again. Just what I was about to remark, said his son. Thankfully, he's actually aware of this. Well, let's get back to work. Queer that he should come here again, and it's queer about Andy Foger. Father and son returned to the machine shop while Mr. Berg puffed away in his auto. A little later, Tom, having occasion to go to a building near the boundary line of the cottage property, which his father had hired for the season, saw through the hedge that bordered it an automobile standing in the road. Suspicious, you think? A second glance showed him that it was Mr. Berg's machine. Something had gone wrong with it, and the agent had alighted to make an adjustment. Yeah, right! I call a load of bullshit on that one. The young inventor was close to the man, though the latter was unaware of his presence. Hang it all, Tom heard Mr. Berg exclaim to himself. I wonder what they can be up to. They won't enter the government contests, and they won't say why. I believe they're up to some game, and I've got to find out what it is. I wonder if I couldn't use this Foger chap. He seems to have taken it in. He seems to have it in for this Tom Swift, Mr. Berg went on, still talking to himself, though not so low. Yeah, the typical villain unfolding his plot at the last minute, and then so the good guy can actually overcome him and beat him. Oh. I think I'll try it. I'll get Andy Foger to sneak around and find out what the game is. He'll do it, I know. By this time the auto was in working order again, and the agent took his seat and started off. So that's how matters lie, eh? Thought Tom. Well, Mr. Berg, we'll be doubly on the lookout for you after this. As for Andy Foger, I think I'll make him wish he'd never locked me in that tank. So, you expect to find out our game, eh, Mr. Berg? Well, when you know it, I think it will astonish you. I only hope you don't learn what it is until we get at that sunken treasure, though. But alas for Tom's hopes, Mr. Berg did learn of the object of the treasure seekers and sought to defeat them, as we shall learn in our story as our story proceeds. Good Lord, subtitles, that was nothing like it. Like it. It's too late for me to even see what it was that they said. I'm going to have to look at that one in the recording. Just a minute. Where are we up to time-wise? 1:30. Okay, so just a bit before 1:30. I'll be able to see it. I've got to write that down. Subtitles at 1:30. I can't write it here, of course. Yeah. No, that's fine. I understand. Let's just blame Google, because Google's the one that decides what words we can have. I have Google Keyboard on my phone because it does swipe. I dislike Windows keyboard even more than I dislike Google Keyboard, okay? You had said that Folger chap and the subtitles did not. I'll take that as being enough clarification, thank you. But it also helped me find it. So Google runs for Android phones, is commonly used as the language processor for when you're texting anybody, when you're writing anything, any sort of text input. So every now and then, I do not use certain language in real life, and I use it even less in a written form, okay? So why would Mr. Google decide if I'm sending a perfectly innocent text message to a family member that implies nothing naughty whatsoever to insert an F word instead of a commonly used normal word? Anyone? Any suggestions? Google doesn't want to keep it family friendly. No, indeed they don't. I think that little bit of programming was probably somebody who was having a bad day at Google and just sort of slipped that one through unseen. I was very surprised because it's not a word I've ever written on my phone, and usually Google is quite sharp on these are the words that you keep respelling for me, even if you don't put them into the dictionary, and it only uses the ones that you put in instead of its normal substitutions. But by the same measure, because it does word counting, by the same measure, if you never use certain words, it stops suggesting them. So why it would automatically think I would use that, I don't know. Have I been texting inappropriately in my sleep? I don't know. Really don't get it. Anyway. Let's carry on. Alas for Tom's hopes, Mr. Berg did learn of the object. I know I've read this, but I'm going to read it again, because you've already had this little bit anyway. But alas for Tom's hopes, Mr. Berg did learn of the object of the treasure seekers and sought to defeat them, as we shall soon learn as our story proceeds. And that's the end of this chapter. Oh my goodness. Bend and stretch. Perfect timing. So let's all bend and stretch. I'm stretching shoulder and spine. Rotating the spine, because that's a good one to do. Oh, I needed it down the back of my arm too. When you are sitting all the time a certain way and you suspend your muscles, your arms in a certain position and keep them there for a while, they start to tighten up, and it means that when you stretch, it can be quite uncomfortable. Yeah, stretch your neck as well. But don't do circles. Any physiotherapist will tell you don't do circles with your head on your neck down a bent as far as it will, because you can chip bone. Don't do it. It's dangerous. You can do the side to side and the forward and backward and at different angles, but don't rotate it, because it pushes little bits of poking out bone on your spine, on your vertebrae. It pushes them past each other, and your muscles are so strong that you can actually chip those bones or bruise them. Not good. So thank you for that stretch. And let's do the hand stretches too. Don't forget to stretch out the palms of your hands. Stretch out the palms of your hands by stretching your fingers as wide as they'll go, because if you're anything like anybody else who spends time on a computer, you will be tightening up through here, and that's not good for the joints in here because it keeps them under pressure. Not good at all. Right, let's carry on. Chapter 6, Turning the Tables. Let's see if we can manage 2 chapters today. We got 5 done last time. No, 4 done last time. When the young inventor informed his father what he had overheard Mr. Berg saying, the aged inventor... I'm sure they only use this phrase because of the fact that they're not allowed to repeat words, according to somebody in their business. Aged inventor. Good reminder, been on my PC like an entire week. Yes, yes. Do stretch. Whether that means lying on the floor and relaxing, and then after you feel like you've relaxed, relax some more and lie there feeling relaxed, and then deliberately relax some more. I've done that a number of times and been amazed. I thought I was relaxed. I thought I'd let go the muscle tension, and as I lie there in that state of having relaxed those muscles, I then think about it and I go, let's relax, even though I think I already have. And I find that I'm actually relaxing even further. I'm letting go the muscles even further, and I can usually do that. It's it's usually at least 3 stages of relaxing those muscles, and you don't even realize. Yeah. Thank you for sending that. I'm so glad you clipped that, Koriki. That was excellent. And yeah, you can, if you have stuff going on in your life where it's really frustrating and you just want to say that this is a load of bullshit, don't forget there's different designs so you can still wear them. Yes, it's still a good clip, I reckon. And I haven't even seen it yet, having been there. Oh yeah, we do have a few, like every time a coconut. Oh goodness. Let's carry on. Turning the tables. When the young inventor informed his father what he had overheard Mr. Berg saying, the aged inventor, which I've already drunk for, was not as much worried as his son anticipated. All we have to do, Tom, he said, is to keep quiet about where we are going. Once we have the Advance afloat and try her out, we can start on our voyage for the South American coast and search for the sunken treasure. When we begin our voyage underwater, I defy anyone to tell where we are going or what our plans are. No, I do not believe we need worry about Mr. Berg, though he probably means mischief. So is this a setup for us to be suspicious that somehow Mr. Berg is going to find a way to put a tracker on their submarine? Well, I'm going to keep my eyes open for him and Andy Foger, declared Tom. The days that followed were filled with work. Not only were there many unexpected things to do about the submarine, but Mr. Sharp was kept busy making inquiries about the sunken treasure ship. These inquiries had to be made carefully, as the adventurers did not want their plans talked of, and nothing circulates more quickly than rumours of an expedition after treasure of any kind. I really don't know how they're going to manage to keep this silent if they're making inquiries. What about the old sea captain you were going to get to go with us? Asked Mr. Swift of the balloonist one afternoon. Have you succeeded in finding one yet? Oh, with a different hair colour. I like it. Which I'm going to have to look at that one. Oh, I think that was when I had some colour in my hair from some occasion. I can't remember what. Yeah, very, very, very occasionally I do it. I like to think I do that sort of thing, but I usually forget. Sorry. Yes, I'm in communication with a man I think will be just the person for us. His name is Captain Alden Weston, and he has sailed all over the world. He has also taken part in more than one revolution, and in fact is a soldier of fortune. I do not know him personally, but a friend of mine knows him and says he will serve us faithfully. I have written to him, and he will be here in a few days, if nobody else has got to him. That's good. Now, about the location of the wreck itself, have you been able to learn any more details? Well, not many. You see, the Boldero was abandoned in a storm, and the captain did not take a very careful observation. As nearly as it can be figured out, the treasure ship went to the bottom in latitude 45 degrees south and longitude or longitude, whichever way you want to say it, longitude is how I say it, 27 east from Washington. Now, you look that up on a map and you tell me how big that land, that area is on a globe when it is that indefinite, when it's degrees, not even minutes and seconds or minutes and decimals of minutes. Look it up. It's shocking how big that area is. From Washington, 27 east from Washington. It was meant to be South America. I don't think there's a Washington down there. They told us it was whatever the capital of Uruguay is. So why are they measuring from east from Washington? That's a pretty indefinite location, but I hope once we get off the Uruguay coast we can better it. Because landmarks at sea? We can anchor or lay outside the harbour, and in a small boat we carry go offshore and possibly gain more details. Yes, let's just look at these waves over here. These waves over here look rather familiar. I think these ones look exactly like the ones that the chap described to me, these moving waves. And if I line these waves up with those waves over there, I think we can pinpoint it quite accurately. No, it's a load of bullshit. Oh my goodness. For it was at Montevideo that the shipwrecked passengers and sailors land. Montevideo. Was it Montevideo I looked up last time? I can't remember. Montevideo, Uruguay. Montevideo is sometimes how it's pronounced. Yeah, it's the capital of Uruguay. That's the place I looked up last time. It's like... You need to see where it is on the map. I don't need to open it for you, do I? It's a weird place for them to pick that it's from. And I don't remember how far off the coast they said it was. Oh dear. For it was at Montevideo that the shipwrecked passengers and sailors landed. Does Captain Weston know our object? Inquired Tom. That's far away from Washington. Yeah, I know. And let's actually I'm just going to zoom out and see how that... Yeah, it is east of Washington by about 1/3 of the North Atlantic Ocean. Go on, open up Google Maps. Have a look. Actually, I suppose I could do it myself, but yeah, no, it means I have to log out of this window to do it, or open another browser, which I don't want to do. I like the fact that on my phone I can go into incognito mode so I can show someone where something is and it doesn't have any of my bookmarks on it or people that I am keeping an eye on because, I don't know, maybe they had a car crash and they're stuck in the same place and I need to know where they are so I can report it to the police or the ambulance or whatever, okay? for security safety reasons. On desktop, in browser, there is no incognito mode. Why, Google? I'm much more likely to share it from my browser with you guys. Yeah, like I say, Montevideo is here. Washington is over here, way up further north. And then you go across, you go 1/3 across, that's east of Washington. And then you go another of that, and then another of that, and you hit Morocco or Portugal. I gave a link and map. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. So yeah, it's just like I would like to show it to you so you can actually visually see on the screen, but it's just like, no, that's not happening. It's ridiculous. I can give you the link for it. Those coordinates, that is the degrees decimal. So if you copy and paste that in to Google Maps, it will show you where Montevideo is. Let's find out where Washington is, shall we? Not Washington State, but Washington, the capital of the US of A. I need to, it's in here somewhere. There it is, found it. Sorry, I'm not very good at finding American locations. And this one is Washington. Go and look at the two at the same time on Google Maps and see how far apart they are. Just a little bit east of Washington. And you don't talk degrees east of somewhere. Because they are absolute. Coordinates are absolute. They are to do with the actual globe. It's like Washington is 38.85 blah 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 degrees without a minus in front of it. That means it's north of the equator. And minus 34.945 blah 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 is south of the equator. So they are absolute references. They are not this many degrees east or west of a particular location. That is not how you do those. At least a latitude would clean it up a lot. Yeah. So it's I'm just giving you the locations of where those are in real life. What did they say it was? Let's put them in here, shall we? In here on the map and see if they're anywhere near. So 45 degrees south, so that's minus 45. And longitude 27 east from Washington. Let's just put 27. Let's see if that gives me anything. Well, it's ocean. I'm zooming out. I don't think I got those coordinates right because that's off the bottom of South Africa. Let's put them the other way around, shall we? This is just... No, I'm not even going to bother. I'm closing that and I'm going to carry on reading. Those numbers don't make sense. 45 degrees south is a long way south. It's not even 27 degrees east, more like 20, yeah. Oh my goodness. But you don't, like I say, when you're telling someone where something is, you don't say, this place is there and it's 26 degrees east, west, north, south of that location. You don't use angles, which is what degrees are, to say how far away from something. In my pick, you can see Montevideo and 27. Your pick. I'm probably... Oh, that's right. He's put it in the Discord server. Sorry. I couldn't see where it was. I was looking in the wrong place. Thank you for that, Kuriki. He's, oh, let's see, actually I can pick that up from there. It was giving me notifications from you, but I hadn't actually realised that you also had that other one. Let's find that. It's in the books. There's Tom Swift at the beginning of the book list at the moment. And copy image. Ooh. No, actually I can share that window. I can share that window. Let's just do that. I am going to share display capture. Okay. No, not what I wanted. Let's choose the other one. This is me. Hello. Let's make that fit the window. I'm glad you can hear me. Let's go transform and go reset transform. No, not reset transform. We want to go transform fit to screen. There you go. Now, if I click on this, you can see my mouse. Montevideo is down here where he's got that underline. Montevideo is this dot here. There. And this is where 27 degrees is. Okay. So, yeah. And there's a Wikipedia link there which I'm going to copy and paste into chat if you really desperately need to look at it right now. Maybe they're just swimming the entire book. I know. They're just going to go out in a small boat. Did you hear what he said? They'll get to Montevideo and then they will go out in a small boat to the location. And what's Washington got to do with it? Yeah, we're only getting 2 chapters today, folks. It's just ridiculous. Okay, let's carry on. Let's read that whole paragraph again. Well, not many. Have you been able to learn any more details? Not many. A small boat to literally the middle of the Atlantic. I know, it's just ridiculous. You see, the Boldero was abandoned in a storm, and the captain did not take very careful observations. As nearly as it can be figured out, the treasure ship went to the bottom in latitude 45 degrees south and longitude 27 degrees east from Washington. Don't know how you worked that one out, especially if you're abandoning ship at the time. That's a pretty indefinite no. My need for literature rage today is satisfied. Yay, we've achieved something. Good. I feel good about this. That's a pretty indefinite location. No kidding. I nearly said something else, but we're not going to. Trying to keep it family friendly. But I hope once we get off the Uruguay coast, we can better it. We can anchor or lay outside the harbour, and in the small boat we carry, that means like a dinghy, go ashore and possibly gain more details. For it was at Montevideo that the shipwrecked passengers and sailors landed. So, okay, there's a little bit more thinking there. They're talking about going ashore in the small boat because they don't want to take the submarine to where it's going to be seen for people to figure out what they're doing. Coast Guard, yeah, sure, how about tell us where you are? Yeah. Does Captain Weston know our object? Inquired Tom. No, and I don't propose to tell him until we're ready to start. Well, I would say when you're actually out there, where he can't actually connect with anybody else, in case he's being paid off by Mr. Berg, replied Mr. Sharp. I don't know just how he'll consider a submarine trip after treasure, but if I spring it on him suddenly, he'll be less likely to back out. Oh, I think he'll go. Somewhat unexpectedly, the next day it was discovered that certain tools and appliances were needed for the submarine, and they had been left in the house at Shopton. That's not suspicious. That's not foreshadowing. At all. No, we're going to Shopton to foreshadow. where Eradicate Sampson was in charge as caretaker during the absence of Mr. Swift and his son and the housekeeper. Well, I suppose we'll have to go back after them, remarked Tom. We'll take the airship, Dad, and make it a 2 days trip of it. Is there anything else you want? So can somebody work out how far they're going from the Jersey Shore up to the bottom of the Finger Lakes in upstate New York? I told you where it was and I can't remember the name of it again. Hammondsport. And then we can work out how fast they're going in the airship. How far from Shopton to Washington, though? Yeah, that's a good question. It's probably more relevant, too. Oh, my goodness. We'll take the airship, Dad, and make it a 2 days trip of it. Is there anything else you want? So what I'm asking for now is I want to know if this is actually realistic, that they're going to do it in 2 days, a day there and a day back. Oh, well, you might bring a bundle of papers you'll find in the lower right-hand drawer of my desk. They contain some memoranda I need. Tom and Mr. Teacher, is this going to be on the final? Yes, you will be graded on this. You better be taking notes. Committing it to memory. Tom and Mr. Sharp had become so used to travelling in the airship that it seemed no novelty to them, though they attracted much attention wherever they went. They soon had the red cloud in readiness for a flight, and rising in the air above the shop that contained the powerful submarine, a craft utterly different in type from the aeroplane, apart from its shape. The nose of the airship was pointed toward Shopton. They made a good flight and landed near the big shed where the bird of the air was kept. Because we can't call it an airship because we have in the previous paragraph. So now it is the bird of the air. Well, New Zealand has a lot of birds that are not birds of the air. We have a lot of ground-dwelling, non-flying birds. But most places, apart from penguins, most places, when you say bird, it means of the air. See what I mean about using alternate words instead of normal words and how it pulls you out of the story? Tom Swift is travelling via airship from New Jersey to upstate New York. They traverse the distance in 8 hours. How fast are they travelling? Indeed. That's the question I want answered. Jorter has said, writes down calculating every location related to Washington in the future. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. They made a good flight and landed near the big shed where the bird of the air was kept. It was early evening when they got to the Swift homestead. I don't know what time in the morning they left, if it was even morning. And Eradicate Sampson was glad to see them. Eradicate was a good cook and soon had a meal ready for the travellers. Then, while Mr. Sharp selected the tools and other things needed and put them in the airship ready for the start back the next morning, I think I would keep them in the bedroom in the house where I'm sleeping overnight. And everything else I need to take with me, not to put them in the airship in case somebody decides to steal it. Ready for the start in the morning, Tom concluded he would take a stroll into Shopton to see if he could see his friend Ned Newton. It was early evening. Tom's meant to be getting papers. Has to be roughly 8 hours. They left from breakfast and arrived for dinner. Hopefully. And how long is it going to take on the way back? And will they attribute it to different wind against them or with them? Wind speed? Or will they just randomly do some disconnected flying maths stuff? I went into Shopton to see if he could see his friend Ned Newton. It was early evening and the close of a beautiful day, a sharp shower in the morning having cooled the air. Now, words. To see if he could see his friend Ned Newton. If we are going to replace every word that we have a duplicate of, even in the previous paragraph, we shouldn't be saying to see if he could see, should we? To see if he could observe, espy. What other words have we got to replace see with? Quitting my game so I can maths. Sorry to disturb your evening so much. Oh, somebody else can come up with alternatives to saying see if he could see because of not redundancy but duplication. Tom was greeted by a number of acquaintances as he strolled along, for since the episode of the bank robbery, when he had so unexpectedly returned with the thieves and the cash, the lad was better known than ever. Lad! We have lad! Washington, D.C. to Shopton, or a part of New Jersey. No, we're meant to be going for New Jersey coast, it said, to Shopton. Not Washington, D.C. That's where the wreck is measured from. Are they trying to replace Greenwich as a datum by putting Washington in here? Goody, this book is more challenging than my past geography or maths exams, says Jilter. I know, it's crazy. I'm drinking lots for lad because I think we missed a few earlier on. Okay, let's carry on. I guess Ned must be home, thought our hero, because we've already said lad, so we can't refer to him as lad, as he looked in vain for his chum among the throng on the street. I've got time to take a stroll down to his house. Tom was about to cross the street when he was startled by the sound of an automobile horn loudly blown just at his side. Then a voice called, "Hey there, get out of the way if you don't want to be run over." He looked up and saw a car careening along. At the wheel was the red-haired bully, Andy Foger. And in the tonneau were Sam Snedeker and Pete Bailey. The tonneau, I think, is the back seat. So, this book, this is the fourth book in the series, is the first one that they've told us that Foger might actually be Foger. Fodger? Fodger, not Foger. They decided to give us what it might rhyme with in this book, book number 4. And yet we've referred to him using his surname in every book until now. He says it's actually reasonable. A car of the era could have done it in 10 hours, 12 with brakes, and airship would have been similar. Yes, I was wondering if it was something like that, but I also know that geography in these books is a bit weird, and so therefore I was a bit mentally stretched as to which way they were going with it. Thank you. Andy Foger, and in the tonneau were Sam Snedeker and Pete Bailey. "Get out of the way," added Sam, and he grinned maliciously at Tom. The latter stepped back, well out of the path of the car, which was not moving very fast. Just in front of Tom was a puddle of muddy water. "Well, Tom, step sideways, please, away from it." There was no necessity for Andy steering into it, but he saw his opportunity, and a moment later one of the big pneumatic tyres, as opposed to solid rubber ones, which nobody uses at this point, plunged into the dirty fluid, splattering... Dirty fluid? Muddy water? Oh, no, it said it was a puddle. We could have just said puddle. We could have said just puddle before and then now refer to it as muddy water. Now it's dirty fluid. See how it pulls you out of the story. Stop it. A moment later, one of the big pneumatic tyres had plunged into the dirty fluid, spattering it all over Tom. Splashing. Splashing. Spattering. Splashing. All over Tom. Some even going as high as his face. He even got splashed in the face. What's the next unreasonable distance? I chose a fair point to New Jersey, just north of Albany. Sorry. Yeah. I think you've already supplied more specific than the story ever implied. Oh my goodness. Ha ha, laughed Andy. Maybe you'll get out of the way next time, Tom Swift. The young inventor, because we've just called him Tom Swift. Not even Tom, just Tom Swift. So he's now the young inventor, was almost speechless from a righteous anger. He wiped the mud from his face, glanced down at his clothes, which were all but ruined, and called out, "Hold on there, Andy Foger, I want to see you." For he thought of the time when Andy had shut him in the tank. Hang on. We've just said Andy twice in the same sentence. This is illegal. We can't have this. This is a Stratemeyer Syndicate book. We cannot use the guy's name twice in the same sentence. "Ta-ta," shouted Pete Bailey. "See you later," added Sam. Better go home and take a bath and then sail away in your submarine, went on Andy. I'll bet it will sink. Before Tom could reply, the auto had turned a corner. Disgusted and angry, he tried to sop up some of the muddy water with his handkerchief. While thus engaged, he heard his name called and looked up to see Ned Newton. "What's the matter? Fall down?" asked his chum. "Andy Foger," replied Tom. So how many Andys does he know that he has to always call him Andy Foger? Do you talk about your friends using their surname all the time? Do you? Sam Smith, Penelope Keith. When you're referencing or your enemy, do you always call them by their first name and their surname? Survey. Let's do this survey now, informally. Just, put in chat. Do you use first name and surname every time you refer to somebody? "That's enough," retorted Ned. "I can guess the rest. We'll have to tar and feather him someday and ride him out of town on a rail. I'd kick him myself, only his father is a director in the bank where I work." I thought his father lost that position because of stuff that was going on with the thieves to do with the bank. Where I work, and I'd be fired if I did. Can't afford any such pleasure, but someday I'll give Andy a good trouncing and then resign before they can discharge me. But I'll be looking for another job before I can do that. Come to my house, Tom, and I'll help you clean up. Only surname if they have a very fitting surname, but never with the first name. Yeah. You don't double barrel them. The only time someone gets double barreled, they usually get triple barreled, like they get their middle name as well, and they know they're in big trouble with their mum or their teacher. That's what they're for. Middle names are for. But yeah, that's the only time people get referred to with both names, unless there's somebody else with the same first name and you're clarifying which one it is. But no, this is part of the way you write a Stratemeyer Syndicate book. Look, after we finish this series, you'll be able to write some Stratemeyer Syndicate books yourself, because you'll know all about how to do it. Tom was a little more presentable when he left his chum's residence after spending the evening there, but he was still burning for revenge against Andy and his cronies. He had half a notion to go to Andy's house and tell Mr. Foger how nearly serious the bully's prank at the submarine had been, but he concluded that Mr. Foger could only uphold his son. "No, I'll settle with him myself," decided Tom, and we know what's going to happen. That means they're going to get into a fist fight, because he did that in the balloon one. We know this. Was it the first balloon one, the one where we first found it, the motorboat one with the balloon at the end, or was it, I don't know, one of them. Bidding Eradicate keep a watchful eye about the house, and leaving word for Mr. Damon to be sure to come to the coast if he again called at the Shopton house, Tom and Mr. Sharp prepared to make their return trip early the next morning. The gas tank was filled and the red cloud arose in the air. Here, if there are two with the first name, you usually only say the first letter of the surname with the first name to differentiate. Yeah, that's quite... yeah, I know what you mean. I do the same myself. The gas tank was filled and the red cloud arose in the air. Then, with the propellers moving at a moderate speed, the nose of the craft was pointed toward the New Jersey coast. A few miles out from Shopton, finding there was a contrary wind in the upper regions where they were travelling, Mr. Sharp descended several hundred feet. They were moving over a sparsely settled part of the country, and looking down, Tom saw speeding along a highway an automobile. "I wonder who's in it," he remarked, taking down a telescope and peering off its shelf or rack or whatever. Picked up a telescope, peering over the window ledge of the cabin. The next moment he uttered a startled exclamation. "Andy Foger, Sam Snedeker, and Pete Bailey," he cried. "Oh, I wish I had a bucket of water to empty on them." "I know a better way to get even with them than that," said Mr. Sharp. "How?" asked Tom eagerly. "Is he going to empty the toilet?" "I don't think he is, but that would be funny." "I'll show you," replied the balloonist. And Fogger, Andy Folger. It's actually Foger, not Folger. There's no L in his name. I know it's the name of a brand of coffee. "I'll show you," replied the balloonist. It's a trick I once played on a fellow who did me an injury. Here, you steer for a minute until I get the thing fixed and then I'll take charge. Mr. Sharp went into the storeroom and came back with a long start rope and a small anchor of 4 prongs. Is he going to lift the front end of the car up? Or the back of the car? Is he going to try and lift one end of the car up? It was carried to be used in emergencies, but so far had never been called into requisition. Fastening the grapple to the cable, the balloonist said, "Now, Tom, they haven't seen you." Did me an injury. How 19th century. Yes, very, very. Now, Tom, they haven't seen you. You stand in the stern and pay out the rope. I'll steer the airship, and what I want you to do is to catch the anchor in the rear of their car. Then I'll show you some fun. So it sounds like Mr. Sharp has a bit of a wit to him. Tom followed instructions. Slowly he lowered the rope with the dangling grappling hook. The airship was also sent down, as the cable was not quite long enough to reach the earth from the height at which they were. The engine was run at slow speed so that the noise would not attract the attention of the 3 cronies who were speeding along, all unconscious of the craft and the air over their heads. Besides which, cars back then were very noisy. You're much less likely to actually hear the airship if in an old car back then. Because this is 1910. These are very early cars. They are very noisy. I'm used to 1920s vintage cars, and there's a huge leap of development from 1910s to 1920s. Major development changes in that time. So, but even then, the 1920s ones are very loud too. Did me an injury. How 19th century, indeed. 'Tis but a scratch. Just don't start taking your glove off to slap him with it. Where do we get to? The engine with the attention of the cronies who were speeding along, all unconscious. The red cloud was moving in the same direction as was the automobile, as long as Mr. Sharp is keeping an eye on where the road goes. Hopefully it's still going straight. The anchor was now close to the rear of Andy's car. Suddenly it caught on the tonneau, and Tom called that fact to Mr. Sharp. "Fasten the rope at the cleat," directed the balloonist. So that's a little bar that if the cleat itself is on a horizontal surface, then you have a bit that comes up that's bolted down to that surface, and then it comes into a wide T, and you wrap the rope around it in a figure 8 pattern, and then you twist it at one end and pull that, and it's like a half hitch and it holds it in place. And because the rope is pressing against itself and has a weight on the other end eventually, it stops it from coming undone. It's actually surprisingly simple but very effective. So that's what a cleat is, not those spikes that poke out from the bottom of your rugby boots. Those are also called cleats. Hopefully it's still going straight, depending on who the 8-ball decided on the spirits today. Exactly, probably not. How the 8-ball decided on the spirits today. Fasten the rope to the cleat. Tom did so, and a moment later the aeronaut sent the airship up by turning more gas into the container. At the same time, he reversed the engine, and the red cloud began pulling the touring car backwards, also lifting the rear wheels clear from the earth. You would not need to go up very far. In fact, if he'd just started going backwards, that angle up to the airship would have done it. A startled cry from the occupants of the machine told Tom and his friend that Andy and his cronies were aware something was wrong. A moment later, Andy looking up, saw the airship hovering in the air above him. He saw the rope fast to his auto. The airship was not rising now, or the auto would have been turned over, but it was slowly pulling it backward in spite of the fact that the motor of the car was still going. Now, cars back then were rear-wheel drive because it was too complicated to have steering on the front as well as drive for the standard style of drive system. So lifting it up, the car is not going to be able to pull itself forward anyway because those wheels are spinning around. They're up in the air. "Here, you let go of me," cried Andy. "I'll have you arrested if you damage my car. Come up here and cut the rope," called Tom, leaning over and looking down. He could enjoy the bully's discomfiture As for Sam and Pete, they were much frightened and cowered down on the floor of the tonneau, because they don't want it to tip over. "Maybe you'll shut me in the tank again and splash mud on me," shouted Tom. The rear wheels of the auto were lifted still higher from the ground as Mr. Sharp turned on a little more gas. Andy was not proof against this. Oh, he cried. "Please let me down, Tom. I'm awful sorry for what I did. I'll never do it again. Please let me down. Don't! You'll tip me over!" He'd shut off his motor now and was frantically clinging to the steering wheel. "Do you admit that you're a sneak and a coward?" asked Tom, rubbing it in. He didn't need to do that, by the way. That probably is what's going to set off Andy another time. Yes, oh, please let me down. "Shall we?" asked Tom of Mr. Sharp. "Yes," replied the balloonist. "We can afford to lose the rope and anchor for the sake of turning the tables. Cut the cable." Actually, he could have just undone it. Didn't even need to cut it. So Tom saw what was intended. Using a little hatchet, he severed the rope with a single blow. With a crash that could be heard up in the air where the red cloud hovered, the rear wheels of the auto dropped to the ground. Then came 2 loud reports. "Both tyres busted," commented Mr. Sharp dryly, and Tom, looking down, saw the trio of lads ruefully contemplating the collapsed rubber of the rear wheels. The tables had been effectually turned on Andy Foger. His auto was disabled, and the airship, with a graceful sweep, mounted higher and higher, continuing on its way to the coast. Perfect timing. That was the end of the chapter. The end of chapter 6. Chapter 7, I'm not starting today. Mr. Damon will go. So that's where we're going to be starting next time. I think that's the shortest read we've done for a while on something purely based on the interruptions that the story has created. Oh my goodness, that is just ridiculous. Anyway, so there you go. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out with me. It has been a hoot in lots of ways. So ridiculous. Lots of fun. Good to have a fun story where it's not just somebody running away because they're about to be eaten or trying to trick their way out of being eaten, a la Mr. Uncle Wiggily. Who knew that a little kid's book was going to be quite so dangerously violent? This one's violent too, but not in the same way. So we tune in next time and maybe we'll find out that Tom has lost his hearing at a particular pitch and has brain damage from oxygen deprivation, or not, because it's like superhero movies. Or even just action movies, everybody's smashing each other so hard with hard objects that there should be lots of bones broken, but they're not. So yeah, it's using the same sort of physics and medical system, I guess. Anyway, look forward to seeing you next time and finding out what happens next. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you've had lots of fun, because I know I have. Take care of yourself.